Mm-hmm.
Is there a way? What would it take for them to redeem this universe for you?
Whew.
Or is it even redeemable? Do you think at this point they've just laid? I mean, because they're already a few movies deep in here now. So is it even redeemable to bring back this franchise, or would it be better for them just to reset and start over?
I'm trying not to get riled up right now, but I'm like on the move, ready to go right now.
Hey man, this is like our prequel right now to the
This
Snyder
is
cut.
prerequisite viewing before the big event next week.
Yep, exactly. We got to do our homework. Welcome back to the
Welcome
nightcap.
back, guys. Welcome back.
How's it going this evening?
Pretty good. I'm already riled up talking about this movie that I've been wanting to revisit.
Yeah, I've been wanting to revisit it too. It's been a while, and then I'm glad I got to see the Ultimate Edition too. Had a
Mhm.
few little extras in there, but before we get into the review here, Batman versus Superman. What you drinking tonight?
Um, Back to my old faithful. Truly, just taking it easy.
There you go, attaboy. Drinking a little bit Ace cider tonight. A little
Okay.
kind of crisp, refreshing drink for the evening right here. But
Sounds good.
well, before we get into this movie, we were kind of talking off screen a little bit, already getting a little excited to dive into this one. And this is your first time watching the nightcap, please hit the like and subscribe button. Like and subscribe button. And I'm also going to go ahead and put up our grading right now. A big part of what we do here at the nightcap is we like to grade these films and really kind of dive into it and break down what we liked about the film and what we didn't like about it. So feel free to follow along. We also have our grading breakdown in the notes below, so you can always follow along there as well. And let me go ahead and get into the synopsis. I can't talk tonight. And then we'll get into the review. All right. Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice is a 2016 American superhero film based off the DC comic characters Batman and Superman. It is a follow up to The Man of Steel from 2013 and the second installment in the DC Extended Universe. The film was directed by Zack Snyder, written by Chris Terrio and David Goyer. It features an ensemble cast including Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Amy Adams, Jesse Eisenberg, Diane Lane, Lawrence Fishburne, Jeremy Irons, Holly Hunter, and Gal Gadot.
Mm.
And the film is basically follows the criminal mastermind Lex Luthor, who manipulates Batman into a preemptive battle with Superman, whom Luthor is obsessed with. The film had a budget of approximately 250 to 300 million dollars and a
Ooh,
box office of 873 million dollars.
nice.
Now, I remember you did see it in the theater. I don't remember if I did or not. I can't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah, dude, we both watched it after work.
Did we both? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's been a second, but I remember you you texted me right after the film saying you didn't like it.
No,
You didn't
I
care for
did.
it,
Yeah,
and
I did
so
not like it. And you thought I was being sarcastic. I was like, No, no, I did. This was like not very good." Which you know yourself. I was super hyped for this movie. Like I was pumped. I was the one that suggested, "Hey man, let's go watch it right after work."
and it's funny too because I mean, while they had this movie had a lot of detractors, and the DC universe in general has had a lot of detractors, and it's funny to
Mhm.
see it get like rejuvenated. And everyone's so excited for the Snyder cut, so we thought, let's go back, let's revisit this movie, and kind of see like really, how bad was it? Was it what we remembered it to be? And watching the Ultimate Edition, I actually came away appreciating it more. But now that we're going back to rewatch it again, what's your thoughts on it? And you watched the Ultimate Edition as well, right?
Yes, thankfully the HBO Max did have the Ultimate Edition, and like I said, I've been wanting to revisit this movie just because I was so hyped for it when it initially came out to be let down. I don't know if I was maybe setting myself up at the time to get disappointed, considering my hype factor was up to here. So maybe I should have like kind of tempered my expectations. But I'm definitely glad I got to revisit it. And yeah, it's still not up to snuff, but I didn't hate it as much as my initial viewing. So yeah, I'm glad
And
that
then
I got to revisit
just a
it.
little background. Growing up, I mean, I wasn't really big into comics growing up that much. I read a little bit, but not too much. You yourself, you were more into the Marvel universe, right? Or is that not right?
Yes, I was a huge comic book fan when I was a younger Al.
Young man.
But I never really was too much into DC. Like you said, I was into Marvel. I was more I wasn't into DC, but kind of the Vertigo side of it.
Mhm.
But not exactly deep like Superman and like Batman. Obviously, I knew who they were, but
Yeah.
I never really. wasn't too much of a fan as I was like the Marvel comics.
Yeah, yeah. Growing up, I read a little bit. I was mainly more into X-Men as a kid, actually, but I
Oh,
wasn't super
absolutely.
deep in the
Everyone
comic
was.
world. But I don't know, I always kind of had more of a softer spot for Batman and the Superman, just because Batman's was my favorite superhero growing up as a kid.
Mhm.
Like many people, I mean, he's might be the most popular one. And even coming into the Marvel universe is well done as it is. I'm not a huge fan of it. You know that, some of our friends know
Yeah.
that. As it gets a lot of love, and I'm not saying unjustifiably. The way that they handled it, they did it well. Whereas the DC universe, they showed up late to the party. They showed up not ready, disheveled a little bit, and they try to catch up to Big Brother. And arguably, they still kept playing catch up. I don't think
They
arguably they
still
are.
are playing
And
catch.
but at the same time too, I feel like people have been a little bit harsh on them. It's just a way different style, and I don't know. Well, let's go ahead and hop into this movie. So, man, the plot overall here, I mean, like you said, originally it was kind of touted as, a Batman movie.
Yes.
We already had Man of Steel at this point. Then it was Batman versus Superman, which is a cool concept already.
Oh
We
yeah.
just jumped right into it, right? At this point, we hadn't even seen Ben Affleck. There was a lot of controversy just about the casting of Ben Affleck. I know me and you, we were both on the fence. I was not enthusiastic about it.
I
Um,
wasn't on the fence at all. I was like, what? Like,
exactly. And so we find out this, and then also too, this is when Wonder Woman gets introduced,
mm,
and then also they started showing glimpses of the Flash and Cyborg and
yeah.
Aquaman and all this stuff. So they really try to cram a lot in here, trying to catch up, because at this point the MCU is already rolling. And then also too, just the style is a much different universe than the very clean looking MCU. You got Zack Snyder coming with that heavy contrast,
Oh, yeah.
very heavy styling, but at the same time, a story is a story. And so overall, for plot wise, I ended up giving it a 6.
Okay.
I appreciated the ambition level, but they just don't quite pull it off. We're going to get into the weeds in that, I'm sure, probably especially in the directing portion. So I don't
Oh
want
yeah.
to kind of jump the gun on that yet. But I feel like if they would have taken their time and drawn it out, it obviously would have been to the benefit. I think you're probably not too far away, or I don't know
No,
what
I'm
yours
definitely
would be.
not that far away. I gave it a 7 just because, man, they threw a lot in here. There's so much going on. There was, like you said, Aquaman. Like they tried to lay the groundwork with Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Flash. Then they had the framing of Superman. Then they threw in like Doomsday in there. But the core plot is that Bruce Wayne, two years after Man of Steel, saw the destruction that could happen with Superman. That he's a viable threat. The great line in the movie: "If there's a 1% chance he's dead, I mean, we got to destroy him." I'm like, hey, justifiable, very justifiable. Because,
Much
I'm
like
like,
Bruce
very
Wayne,
reasonable.
you're an extremist, but yes, go
Yeah,
ahead.
very reasonable. Because one, Superman is legit a walking nuclear warhead. He could destroy cities. He could destroy the entire world if Lois Lane breaks up with him. You know what I'm saying? Like he could just snap like that.
He is a
So
little
if
bit of a simp, just for the record.
he is, and while Batman is definitely not.
No.
So if you have the means, like a la Batman slash Bruce Wayne, and you actually could do something about it, do it. And the old joke is that give Batman enough prep time, he could beat anybody. He could beat any
Mhm.
superhero, supervillain. I still believe that till today. He could beat Thanos, given enough prep time.
He's like, I mean, if you really think about it, he's like the alpha Lex Luthor. You know what I mean? Luthor is like the
Mhm.
beta version, the kind of sniveling little whiny brat billionaire,
Oh
whereas
man,
Bruce Wayne is like this, he's the alpha dog, but he just happens to be a millionaire too. You know what I mean?
I'm
He's
gonna
the
get I'm gonna get on the casting of Lex Luthor later. Don't believe
Yeah,
that.
I'm sure we're going to get into it. I don't want to get too much into the plot right now because I want to kind of save it for the directing, because a lot of my
Mhm.
points on the plot kind of get into the directing side of it. So let's hold off on that for right now, but let's get into the production. Go ahead and kick it off in terms of production. Would you give it?
All right, with all the faults of this movie that I'm gonna definitely bring up, I can't deny this is a great looking movie. I gave the production 19 out of 20. You had obviously the special effects. We got to start there. Very clean. The look is great. It's a Zack Snyder film, and the costumes, the armor of Batman,
Yeah.
who which he borrowed very generously from Frank Miller's classic Dark
Yes.
Knight Returns. So if you kids don't know about this, look it up. It's awesome. It's definitely required reading if you're into
Yeah.
comics. So they borrowed liberally from that, but yeah, man, the production was great. So I can't deny him that. It's a 19 out of 20 for me.
Yeah, well, I match you on that. I give it a 19 out of 22. Going back and rewatching it again, I really actually got a really new appreciation too for the cinematography. You know, he uses
Mhm.
a lot of different filming techniques, a lot of handheld parts to kind of bring in the tension and the kind of suspense there, and then a lot of big swooping parts, and just the way that every scene is set up. It's almost everything is like a painting, right? There's so many
Yeah,
images in there. You see Superman, flying in like this godlike creature, like
yeah.
this,
I wanted
Messiah
to,
type
yeah,
creature.
I definitely wanted to mention all the God. Obviously they made him out to be, is he God, or like is if
Yeah.
people are worshiping him, and a lot of the really cool godlike imagery of like him in Mexico when they were reaching out to
Yeah.
try to touch him, when he was coming in to save the hurricane victims, and he looked like an angel. So I love the imagery of that.
Visually, it's stunning. I mean, I think the first time I mean, I knew Zack Snyder's style. We seen it obviously from 300 and stuff,
One of my
and
favorite movies.
I don't know that I really appreciated it as much. Watching it again, I'm like, I mean, it's like it's based off a comic book, right? It's not high art, you know what I mean? But honestly, the way he shoots it is honestly visually stunning. Music wise, great, a great score, and there's great tension there. The graphics. Now, the only reason why I couldn't give it a perfect score is just because of the big CG villain. I don't
Yeah,
care for it. At the end, Doomsday. I wish they would have given something a little bit more life to it, shined him up a little bit, and partly has to
yeah,
do with Miller's style too. He just does it so oversaturated, so color graded, so stylized that it tends to even emphasize the CG even more. So that's why I couldn't give it a perfect score. And yeah, I'm even tempted to even go lower, but I'll keep it at the 19 just because everything else I appreciated so much. But let's go ahead and hop into the performances themselves in terms of
okay.
acting. Well, I know we kind of talked about a little bit earlier. Ben Affleck, I like this salty Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
It's kind of like salt and pepper Bruce Wayne, if you will. You know what
Yeah,
I
he's the older, wiser, like Bruce Wayne.
mean?
And like I said, when I first heard Ben Affleck was cast as Batman, whew, I was like, no, I am boycotting this movie. There is no way they're getting my money. And a lot of people felt that way. I think even his agent, Affleck's agent, was like, don't go on Twitter or on the internet for like a few days because they're kind of ripping you apart right now.
Yeah.
But that being said, I enjoyed his performance. He has the jaw for Batman. He has like, the crankiness of an older Bruce Wayne. And he actually worked out for the role, unlike Robert Pattinson, who not only did he not work out, he refused to work out. And I've been reading a lot lately that it's very difficult to work with.
Mhm.
So, but at
Prove the
least Ben
God.
Affleck, yeah, Ben Affleck actually trained for it, as you saw, like in
Yeah.
the like random Rocky like training montage in the middle of the movie.
Yeah. Apparently, Bruce Wayne does CrossFit, is what I took away.
The tires and everything. But honestly, the acting is where it kind of started slowly unraveling for me. Like, hey, Affleck did a good job. Henry Cavill, he there. I don't think any actor looks more the part of Superman than him. He has like the
Right.
good, the Boy Scout like looks and like the acting. And then I even like Irons as like a more rugged like Alfred.
Yeah, I liked him too. I thought he was perfect for this universe. He was a perfect Alfred to the Ben Affleck Batman.
Yeah, it
Like
can't be
he
Michael Caine
Yeah,
like
it couldn't
Alfred.
be Michael Caine here. You needed
Yeah,
someone with a little bit of a little salty. He's a little salty too, right? Making little quips throughout the story and stuff. And I actually
yeah.
really appreciated him. And one thing I will say, kind of shot back out to Zack Snyder, is just like I read some of the notes on it, talking about the style of Batman he wanted, and he talked a lot about Frank Miller's Batman, and he
Mm-hmm.
wanted a big, bulky, like kind of heavy
Yeah.
brawler type guy. And to me, as a kid growing up, I will have to say this. It's kind of funny because, like I said in the beginning, I wasn't really a fan of the casting of Ben Affleck, but now looking back at it, he's really the kind of persona that I envisioned as a kid as the Bruce Wayne guy. You know what I mean? Kind of this like edgy kind of billionaire guy, kind of has a dark side to him, and more of this alpha dog type, even more so than
Yeah.
even granted it's totally different universe, but even the Christian Bale's character. So yeah,
Yeah. It's
actually
totally different.
he's really grown on me as that character. And a lot of the same notes you said too about Superman, Henry Cavill. Yeah, I think he's a excellent choice for Superman. Fits it well. But yeah, go ahead. I know you were going to touch on some of the other performances before I take it over here.
Yeah, man. Like as much as I like those performances, and granted, they're two great actors also. I wasn't a fan of Adams being cast as Lois Lane. I don't know. She did a good job, but I just didn't like the casting. But Jesse Eisenberg, I absolutely hated him being cast as Lex Luthor. Like I know they seemed like they wanted to take like a different route. Like they didn't want to have
Yeah.
the older Lex Luthor, but Lex Luthor is the biggest villain besides Doomsday, obviously, for Superman. And then to cast Jesse Eisenberg as him, like we got instead of being the suave, like bald headed, like mastermind Luther, we got like a neurotic, like snarky, evil Zuckerberg, or slightly less evil Zuckerberg.
That's that's exactly my notes. I felt like in my mind, I always envisioned Lex Luthor, if you will, like Jeff Bezos type character, right? And
Yeah,
instead, we got Mark Zuckerberg.
yeah.
Like,
And honestly, like, and he had some great lines in this movie. He had
yeah,
like some good dialogue. So,
yeah.
but he said it like in a snarky,
He's
like
so
annoying
snivelly.
way.
Yeah, he's such a little like creepy little brother that
Yeah.
you don't even really fear him. You just kind of want to wring his neck. You know what
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know if that's what they were going for, but some of those lines were great. Imagine a Michael Cranston saying that,
I mean?
a Mark Strong, throw in Mads Mikkelsen. Like everyone was thinking, all right, there's gonna be Lex Luthor. Everyone thought, including me, Bryan Cranston's made for this role. He was pretty much the Lex Luthor of meth in Breaking Bad.
Hmm.
And then he said they didn't even approach him. They didn't even say, hey, do you kind of want to do this? No, they said nothing. They did give him nothing. So yeah, I give the acting 19 out of 30 just because I'm sorry, Eisenberg. Like, you're a great actor, but
Wow.
I hated you in this role.
Wow. Let me check out my score. 19. I ended up giving it a 24.
Okay.
24 out of 30. Yeah, I was much higher on it. Now, I know you also mentioned Amy Adams' character. I'm kind of back and forth on it. I think she's a good actress. I think what it is I don't think her and that Henry Cavill have like a ton of chemistry.
Chemistry.
Yeah, I think it's just a little. They're both performing well, but just between them both, I don't really see them together. Even though Clark Kent is a bit of a simp. Let's just say it, right? Let's just get it out there. It is what it is. But yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't blown away by her. There, and I hate to say it too, and this is a shot across your bow right now, but Gal Gadot, a couple of the
Hey,
parts,
watch your mouth.
little
Watch your
stiff,
mouth.
little stiff on the lines there, a little rough. Beautiful, very
Maybe
beautiful.
it was just the material they were giving her. All right.
Maybe it's the language. I don't know, but it was a little rough for me too. And yeah, but besides that, overall, I do still like the casting in overall in general. Like I said, I like Ben Affleck, I like Henry Cavill. They're
Mhm.
the main characters. I don't hate Amy Adams, and I think she does an okay job. I like Jeremy Irons' character. Obviously, I like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, even though in this one maybe she just hadn't really fulfilled, like gotten to the total character yet because
Yeah,
it's still
she
fairly
didn't.
on. But yeah, so overall a little rough. But let's get into the directing right now. So actually, I'll go ahead and let you kick this one off too, because I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of back and forth on this.
Oh, directing. Like I wanted to mention this like during the plot. Obviously they were trying to catch up to Marvel in this one, where they wanted to just like kickstart this whole universe to try to get Justice League going. If they just kept it Batman versus Superman, the main event, if you will, without all
Yes.
the subplots and all that, this could have been a really great movie. They didn't need all that. They didn't need to try to set all that during the movie. Like I get it that they wanted to stray away from the Marvel formula, but one thing they should have taken from the Marvel formula was the little end credit scenes in Marvel, like the little 20-30 seconds you got like at the after credits. That in itself, they could have used that to set up like their universe. They didn't need to give like all the big chunks of time during the movie itself. That little end credits during Marvel movies, that got people more hyped and a little tease than the actual showing the whole shebang like during a movie. Like, some people like to get teased. They don't want to see the whole thing right away. You know what I'm saying? So I give the directing out of 20 out of 30 just because, like I said in the production, it still looked great. It still moved well, but there was like plenty of plot holes. Like, and I'm sure you'll get on that like when we were talking. And then, and this is where pretty much this is during the directing is where everything fell apart. It started with the acting, but I'm gonna let you guess where the movie fell apart for me.
There's an elephant in the room right now, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait right now before I call it out. Before we get into directing. So talking about directing, this is a very much a different universe than the Marvel universe. And to be honest, for me, aesthetically, or style wise, I'm tired of people using aesthetically wrong. Style wise, this is much more akin to what I like in terms of my
Yeah,
taste.
same
Just
too.
the
Same for me.
darkness. To me, it's like, this is like in between Nolan's Batman universe and then obviously like the Marvel. Like the Marvel is more
Mhm.
towards the younger set group of people. Nolan's is more of like an adult superhero story, if you will, kind of taken with a straight face. And this is kind of like in between, right? It's a little comic booky, but then it's a lot more dramatic, a little darker too.
Yeah,
And so for me, it was right up more of my alley. I like the play that he constantly does on towards like these questioning of gods and God, and
that was cool.
trying to get Luther's trying to get God to basically submit to his own hand, and you kind of it's playing off his own persona and psyche, so you can kind of delve into that and those themes and those ideas. I like the idea even of Ben Affleck and his Batman character, wanting revenge and being very skeptical of Superman and all the
Yeah.
destruction that he caused. Makes sense, everything's good. So I'm right there. I'm right there with you, right? Batman versus Superman, but the elephant in the room, the scene that everyone talks about,
Kill Martha!
right there,
Martha. Say Martha. I'm like,
Martha,
so,
Martha.
so
That,
literally,
that's
Batman, 2 years in the making. I'm gonna get this guy 1% chance. Do you bleed? You will.
yeah,
And all of a sudden, Martha. And then he was like, "Why'd you say that?" And
yeah.
next thing you know, it's a buddy comedy. All right. It's a buddy comedy.
I
And
wouldn't go
I'm
that
like,
far. I would.
okay, like, yeah, it was. I'm like, okay, you literally inches away from killing Superman with his cool kryptonite spear. And then he says Martha. It just so happened mom's name's Martha too.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, buddy comedy. Then Wonder Woman, my number one crush, Gal Gadot, comes in, and then it's like, hey, is she with you? I thought she was with you. Hey, I'm
And
like,
she's like,
what?
my mom's named Martha too. All right. And then they were all
Yeah, I'm like, hey, I'm like, I'm like, and then he's like, and then like literally seconds away from killing him, he's like, I promise you, Martha's not dying tonight. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I was ready to walk out the theater.
all right. I
All
think we're
right.
being, like I said, and we've had this conversation before. I think we had it when we first seen the movie. And I still think you're being a little harsh, but it is an awkward scene. And just, one thing I was thinking about it is there's just the whole thing of, there's multiple levels of this. He calls his mom by his first name, which is weird to me because I'm pretty sure during the other parts of the movie, and maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But I always remember him calling her just mom. So it was
Yep.
weird that he calls her by her first name in general, as if he's supposed to know that that's his mom. I don't know. That was bizarre to me in general. If he would have just said, no, they're going to kill her or something like that, and just said, what are you talking about? Oh, they're holding my mom hostage. They could have cleaned up the scene a lot. It would have just delivered, much more on the nose. But
Yeah.
instead, they do this kind of weird, like Martha thing, and they're trying to harken back to his, Batman's origin story with his mom, and then it doesn't land because we don't see any scenes of Bruce with his mother. I don't even know really what his mom looks like. We only see like slight glances of her, and then she's dying. We don't, you know what I mean? And then obviously they try to tie in his dad saying Martha, right, as she's passing. Very much different than Nolan's, Wayne character, which is "Don't be afraid," right? So that just shows you how important those last words were. But it's, I don't know. It just the whole thing just feels clumsy, and it just didn't feel like it needed to be either. I don't know if
Yeah.
why someone didn't tap, Snyder on the shoulder and be like, "Hey, are we sure we want to do this? Like,
Yeah.
is this really how we?" Because it's such a pivotal scene too. Like, you could easily let it slide, but it is such a pivotal scene that it kind of sticks with you.
Yeah, because
It's not a deal
and then,
breaker for me, like I think it is for you,
oh,
but
it's
I do hear
it's a
you.
deal
It
breaker.
is the awkward scene.
Yeah, and then Lois Lane just happens to be at the right in time. That's his mom.
Movie
And I'm like,
magic.
okay, all right, it's buddy comedy time. No, it's I don't know, like, and then it blows my mind because I never really noticed that Christopher Nolan was one of the executive producers. Maybe he could have been Zack Snyder. He's like, I don't know if this is gonna work, guy.
I know, right?
Because it's a running joke. It's a running joke that okay, Martha, like that's all right. All right, everything's cool now. We got the same moms,
Yeah. Yeah, and then like you said, the movie then takes like this, this giant other turn here, and it's really almost like a 4 act movie, right? Because you have the introduction, you have Batman versus Superman in your second act, then it goes for a third act, and this is where I think they get greedy. They try to bring in Doomsday,
Yeah,
and who's a worthy villain of his own movie in his own right. He's such a huge character in the Superman story, and he almost feels like an afterthought here. They almost kind of like cram him in,
they did grab him in.
and then that's where the movie, at least remember, for me in the theater, felt long. Is okay. Then they put him in there, and you're like, oh, okay, geez, like what's going on here?
And they nuke Superman.
Yeah, they nuke, God, they nuke Superman. Don't worry, he survives. And
Hey.
and then obviously the resolution at the end. But yeah, I think that's really where like I said, the movie just kind of takes a turn for, I don't know if it's necessarily for the worst, but that's where it kind of loses its focus. And I feel like if they would have just kept it to the Batman versus Superman,
Yeah,
that would have been plenty for most fans. And then they could have done another movie with Doomsday in the same
absolutely.
universe, and that would have been its own thing. You know what I mean? But I think they just tried to. I don't know. Like again, maybe it's just because they're rushing to trying to keep up with the MCU. But really feel like that's the misstep. So overall for directing, let me see here. I gave it a, to remind myself, 25. So I
Oh
still like
wow,
it. I still, because
generous.
to me it's still it. Honestly, I feel like Zack Snyder's style makes up for a lot, and I still like the
Yeah.
universe. I still like the characters. The story's a little clumsy, but I also feel like sometimes too, in I can't help but compare the two. In terms of like the Marvel just plays it maybe a little bit safer for me. I feel like DCU, they're taking on bigger themes, at least in my opinion, and I felt like they shoot a little more seriously, and so they misstepped. But at the same time too, there's been, and we might have to do a Marvel versus DC
Oh,
reaction,
I'm all
because
for that.
at least for me, a lot of times, yeah, Marvel's stories are tighter, but they're also way more predictable and kind of boring, at least in my opinion. So, and
Oh, agree
this,
to disagree on that.
we'll agree to disagree then.
Okay.
All
All right,
right.
bud.
Well, then it's
All
fine.
right, bud.
Okay, it's settled then, pal. All
All
right.
right, chief.
Okay, there, partner. All right. All right. Well, let's get into the X Factor here. For X Factor, I end up giving it a 6. Uh,
Woo.
yeah, I like the movie. I like this universe. It has a lot of potential for me. It just hasn't really hit its stride. I'm hoping this Justice League isn't just a longer version of the first one that we saw, and actually cleans up some holes, and they keep it going and try to fill in some of the gaps here. I'm still not as big on it as the Nolan universe that he created here. Obviously, that was a much more different style,
Oh,
but I do like it. I think there's a lot of potential here, and I'm looking forward to watching the Snyder cut. And I think you are too. So don't be too heavy handed here.
I gave it a 2. X
Oh,
Factor.
oh,
I gave it a 2. What can I say? I was disappointed in this movie. It is what it is. Maybe it's partially my fault that I was like expecting way too much. Maybe that's on me. All right, but it fell flat. If we talked about it, if it was Batman versus Superman, legit the main heavyweight bout, without all the subplots, without cutting, making the whole Martha thing a little bit more like smoother, fluid,
yeah,
it could have been a great movie. It really could, because visually it looks great. I like Snyder's directing style, his production, the way his movies look. Honestly, 300 is one of my favorite movies of all time. When I first saw the trailer for 300, I'm digressing here. I'd never seen anything like it. So the production itself is great, but it was disappointing. It crammed way too much, trying to catch up to the Marvel universe. Granted, maybe they told him to do that, but like I said, take advantage of those end credit scenes where just a little tease will go a long way.
okay, all right. Total scores, would you end up giving it?
67.
67. Oof. Okay, all right. We're in
Mm-hmm.
that D plus category. All right, reminds me of
Mm-hmm.
high school. All right. So,
Yeah, this
yeah,
movie's
I
getting
am giving it
attention.
81. So we'll put the total scores down. But my question is going to be, at this point, at least in your opinion,
Mm-hmm.
is there a way? What would it take for them to redeem this universe for you?
Whew.
Or is it even redeemable? Do you think at this point they've just laid? I mean, because there are already a few movies deep in here now. So is it even redeemable to bring back this franchise, or would it be better for them just to reset and start over?
No, because they're already resetting too much.
Hmm.
They're already gonna reset with the Batman, and if that does well, then obviously they're gonna go that direction. But then if that flops, they're gonna reboot it again. So let's just try to stick to Zack Snyder's canon right now, and see if maybe the Zack Snyder cut will hammer out a lot of the holes, hammer out a lot of the disappointments from the past movies, because the actors are there, the characters are there, the lore is there, but they just need to get that execution going. So if there's, the foundation is there. You can't just rip it all apart again and then restart again, because then they'll probably make the same mistakes, because then they'll be behind MCU again. So they're gonna try to, fast forward things, or again, you already, like you said, you already have like 3-4 films deep. Let's just kind of keep the trucking, and then hopefully just learn from the mistakes of this movie, and probably like, there's a Superman movie, and see if the Snyder cut could do that, and then hopefully just keep on trucking.
And so, what are you looking for? Let's talk expectations before we end this, because we're hoping to see the Snyder cut next week. What are your expectation level for the Snyder cut that's coming up? I know we already talked about. We did a little trailer reaction. Now rewatching Batman versus Superman, has it changed your expectation level? Is it still just cautiously optimistic, or do you think
Yes.
you can even make that big of a change?
I honestly, the story wise, I believe will be almost the same. Okay. But just the vision of it will always be different, because the look of it's going to be different. It's 2 hours longer than the Joss Whedon cut. So obviously a lot of the story is going to be there. More of the story. Hopefully things get fleshed out more, and things will make a little bit more sense and not rushed. I'm not going to make the same mistake that I had with Batman versus Superman, where I set my expectations up too high and then it fell flat. This time I'm going with definitely, level expectations, just so I am not fully disappointed. Fool me once, shame on you.
Can't get
fool me
again.
twice.
In the words
So
of George W. Can't get fooled again.
so, but I'm still pumped to watch it, because it's pretty much this is their Avengers Endgame.
Mhm.
So I'm definitely looking forward to this 4-hour marathon that I'm gonna try to view opening night on HBO
Wow.
Max, and then try to pump out that review.
You're gonna be there sitting on your couch in your Wonder Woman outfit, all jazzed, waiting to watch the Snyder cut with some chocolate ice.
I'm like, where's my baby? Where's my number one crush at?
Oh man, all right, cool. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to see. I'm cautiously optimistic in terms of the Snyder cut next week, but I'm trying not. I'm worried that my expectations levels might just be a little too high. I'm worried that all of our expectation level might be a little too high, just because I'm wondering how much can he differentiate from the first one that they already did. We're introducing a new villain in it. That should be interesting. But I really have hopes for this DC universe. I feel like like I said, I feel like there's a lot of potential here. I feel like he could make something of this. If they really just hand the reins over to Snyder and just let him do his thing, I think he could redeem this universe. And I don't know what to think of Pattinson's Batman. It's weird that you have two Batmans running parallel at the same time. It's kind of bizarre, but hey.
Well, Pattinson's Batman is when he's younger, when he was kind of more of the detective.
Well, it's a completely different world too. I mean, you can see the style of it. It's completely different. And I'm looking forward to that one too, but it's just a little weird that we get him a lot of Batman crammed in a short time space here. We're already in the multiverse. You know what I mean? We just got rid of Nolan's Batman. We got Ben Affleck. We got Michael Keaton's floating around somewhere. You know what I mean? It's
and then the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix is out there too.
Yeah.
And then,
I think
they need to wrangle everything in. You know what I'm saying?
I think we've reached peak comic book characters in movies. I don't know how many more we can fill in. I don't know, but Batman versus Superman revisited. I came away. I think I actually liked it more. I did like the Ultimate Edition. Al is still. I think you warmed up to it a little bit, but you're still a little bit on the fence. And I don't know. I guess we'll have to
a little bit
regroup next week and see what the Snyder Cut does for us. See if it reinvigorates this franchise here, or if we're going to be looking forward to a very skinny Robert Pattinson playing Batman for the next few years.
I mean, he's a great actor, but you got to look the part, guy. You have to look the part of Batman. I'm just saying.
Yeah, this is like a American mythology at this point. Like, come on, man, have some respect for it, all right?
Yeah,
get those gains, bro.
Whatever.
Right? Get your time.
Yeah, man. You had lockdown to do with this in. Come on, what else to do?
Yeah, there's no excuse. All right, but we digress. All right, so that's all I got. So from the Nightcap, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to leave your guys' comments below. Let us know what you guys think. If you've gotten back and rewatched this movie in preparation for the Snyder cut, then let me know what you guys think too. Has it gotten better with time, or or has it gotten worse? Is is that Martha-sized hole in the middle of the movie too look? And let me know what you guys think in below. And we always appreciate it. Also, too, like I said, we have a grading scale. What kind of score would you guys give this movie? I'm just curious to see you guys' feedback on it, especially the hardcore fans. And also your expectations for the DC universe. Is it redeemable at this point, or would they be better, putting it on the shelf and then maybe rebooting again in another few years? Look forward to hearing you guys' comments. And until the next time, cheers, everybody.
Have a great night, guys. See you next time.